give you the design, performance and the tech, the ultimate breakdown. This is the Overdrive Review. And as we do on the show every week, we're going to be bringing you everything you can do this weekend. So not just a lineup of what you can see out in theatres, but what you can do on OTT. Live shows happening to you. Everything right here on TBC. Okay, let's take you to our first story. Today on the show, we're diving into one of the most critical tools in our career toolkits, our resume. Whether you've just started out or you're looking to make a career change or you're aiming to climb higher in the company that you're already within, we're often told that a resume, so this humble document, we're often told it's the first impression that you make on a potential employer. But in India, it almost feels like you first get your job because किसी के पापा के दोस्त ने आपको बताया कि वहाँ पे there's a job empty and you can apply for it, and your resume only comes as the third, the fourth step. Now, we want to talk a little bit more about that. We want to understand where a resume can fit in the Indian job market, and we also want to take another interesting question to the two senior HR professionals we'll have with us on the show today. We want to ask them that in a world where you keep hearing of creative resumes, so you would have heard on the internet, you'll hear again and again something going viral. For example, there was a kid who just in April sent his resume to an employer via Blinkit. You had another kid who turned his entire resume into something that looked like a Google search result. And the question was, what does a good employee look like? His resume came up as the result. When you have things like that happening, how experimental should you be with your resume? Should you just stick to the tried and tested approach? So on Tuesday, if you remember, we looked at colleges abroad. On Wednesday, we looked at what it takes to be well-rounded in today's job market. Today on TBC, we'll tell you how do you get a foot in the door of your dream job and where should a resume, this humble little document, where should it fit into the whole story? Let's go over to the two professionals we have with us here on the show. They're both senior experts within the industry. First, joining us on the broadcast is Maya Nair. She's the executive director at Elixir Consulting. It's an organization that helps companies hire industry-wide. So they don't specifically stick to one industry. They actually cater to and work with industries across the country, and they've been doing this for years now, decades now, in fact. Let's just go over to Maya to ask her. Maya, we started our audiences off by telling them what is unless an entry-level job, especially if it's a job where, it's a mid-level job, a senior position, your resume isn't actually, it feels like the thing that's making or breaking it. It feels like you've gotten a job and, somewhere in there, the HR person who's handling the interview will say, remember to send your resume along. So just tell us, how should we look at a resume today? And is it part of a larger bouquet, networking, LinkedIn, all being other parts? How do you see it?
Sure. So I guess, currently we are seeing a lot of change in the way we are operating thanks to digitalization as well as AI that's coming in. So I think for a resume to get attractive and to, be put it out there, digital footprint is very important. So the person needs to be aware of, like you mentioned, there are a lot of aspects that we are looking at. So the candidate needs to ensure that he has the right digital footprint. Whatever he's putting is his authentic personal brand that he's putting out there. So with contacts, with being already having the right personal brand that he's created, whether it's, on his websites that he's doing or he's part of some digital tools that he's been using, a skill-based approach is a right way and the right first step forward in such kind of a scenario.
Okay, Maya, because the organization that you're a part of actually looks at the behind the scenes. So when companies are hiring, they actually come to you to tell us our resumes. Just break that down for us. How much are computers a part of this whole process?
Okay. So you did mention that, there is also networking that happens in the industry, and a lot of times, it's a comfort factor for a person if he knows somebody or is recommended by somebody, to be able to actually take and give the responsibility to that person. But there is a huge percentage of jobs that go where the candidates are being called for the interview, which is a complete clear, transparent process. The jobs are out there, it's put on, it's posted, the organization is looking for the ideal candidates. And I think a resume is a very powerful tool, because in such kind of a scenario, that is the first door. You put the foot in the door. That's the first way that the person would be able to put his skills across to a completely unknown person. And hence, I give it a lot of importance. While looking at the resume, the format and everything has changed over the years. Earlier, we used to call it curriculum vitae. Now we call it resume. So, there's a difference there as well in the terms. And when the person builds the resume, it is showcasing the person's skills, the responsibilities, the accountability that the person has done. So if I, quickly come to your second part of the question, where you said, how should a good resume look like? I think the ideal way that the person builds his resume is to not make it too lengthy, and to ensure that, he's putting his skills, which is the right skills for that particular job. And that's very important, because that's the first step that the recruiter, whoever is screening the resume, is going to take a look. And then your next step, in being called for an interview.
Okay, we want to ask you, Maya, you've kind of told us a little bit about just how important resumes are, but tell us, in today's day and age, there's an urge to get creative, right? And we were just telling our audiences about some of the creative resumes you hear about. People who've gone with cool digital resumes, they sometimes make videos, and that kind of raises the question, when you have a job that you're applying for, should you take the creative route, or should you just stick with the basics? Maybe employers don't want to click on some link you've given them. What's your advice there?
I feel it doesn't hurt to put it. If you have one ready, and the person who's the employer is, liking that little spunk in the person and wants to take a look, and if you have it ready, go for it. But a lot of times the employers themselves, because see, there is no time, right? For that, the employer has to go through the resume again, take out time for, looking at the video as well. It would depend a lot on the employer's ability to manage that extra amount, but it never hurts. The candidate can always ask, saying that, should I give it? And if the recruiter is okay, saying that, okay, go for it, then, the person can go. But, the loophole in this is, if the person is really great, right? And the video is not created nicely, that, it's not edited. It's a proper, it's the right way to make the video. And if it's not done rightly, then I think there are lesser chances, because the person is right out there, and there are higher chances, if the video is not done well, or the person is not speaking in the right kind of energy, of getting rejected. So I think one should put it up if they are 100% sure that it's a great video. What they're putting up, it's showcasing their skills, their confidence, their ability to actually tackle that job. I think then go for it.
So your point is, take the risky route if you're sure that it'll have dividends, otherwise stay away from it. So just tell us, Maya, keywords. I just want to ask, because often they say that have your resume reflect some of the energy of the job posting itself. If the job posting is using certain words, have your resume say that. What is your take there? And also tell us, beyond the basics that we all know when it comes to resume building, so font choices, the way it's written, beyond that, what are the other things we need to know?
Absolutely. So, why I mentioned specific keywords is, it is very important while a person is making his resume to know what the person wants, and to know what is the job that he's applying for, what is the need of, of the person for that job. So when you apply, you have to also, I would say, we do say you need to tailor your resume, not changing what you have done, but adding to a few tasks. Because like I mentioned, we don't want lengthy resumes. We want short, crisp, brief resumes. And it's impossible. Somebody like me, you have over 20 years. If you want to put in everything we've done, it's a diverse area, right? We've done multiple things in multiple jobs. But what is that job requiring? You may have put it very briefly. Maybe you need to elaborate a little more. For example, I'll give you, say, suppose the job wants you to have experience in varied geographies, right? Working in a diverse environment. And in your current, you've done large projects on it, but your current resume, you've just mentioned, maybe you can add one or two more lines more to emphasize the work you've done and the impact that you have in that particular area. we are not saying to put in things that you haven't done. I mean, that is a complete no-no. But you can add a little bit. Maybe you may remove 1 or 2 lines if it's getting too lengthy, of maybe something that is not really relevant that you have done and maybe you're very good at, but it's not relevant for this particular role. So hence, if the keywords are particularly on your strengths, what you have done, and what is the job, there should be some match, and that is when you would be able to move forward, and the resume will actually showcase your skills.
Okay, Maya, this is a bit of a weird question, but I'm going to ask you because you're someone who's been in this industry for decades now. Are there resumes that have stayed with you? So when I say what's an example of an excellent resume, is there actually something that comes to mind?
Okay, so I think it is, in the current situation, there's more people, maybe the first hire that you did or the first difficult position that you closed. So it's more people rather than, I would say, resume format, because it has changed over the years. But I could tell you good resumes that you remember and you want, when people ask for help, then you are able to give a sample resume. So that way we have, good sample resumes of maybe one of senior, one of middle level and junior level, where we know that it's clean, it's error-free, it has clean white spaces, it doesn't have too much color, not too much boxes, is able to showcase, everything is put in a chronological order neatly with specific emphasis.
That's, we're just showing our audiences what you thought was a good resume.
In the pathos, logos world, I'm a logo person, I like data. So there should be some data that is mentioning in the kind of impact percentage that the person would have done. So I think that would call a good resume, where you have the right content and put it in a good place.
Okay, so that footage that we just showed you is, that we just showed our audiences, is an example that you sent us, Maya, of a good resume. So just take a look at that. In that footage, you can see, because this is an employee of a tech field, he's been able to demonstrate very carefully, okay, I increased clicks on a website, for example, by 20%. I was able to drive viewership up by 30%. So he's able to show that in very, very concrete ways on that resume. Okay, Maya, thank you for joining us, for bringing us that. We also have for you, our audiences, a different aspect to this entire discussion. Of course, if you work for an industry like tech, it's very easy to show that this was your impact. It's very easy to show the numbers and the analytics. But what if you don't work for an industry where impact is that easy to manage? What if you work for an industry, for example, like media, the one that we work in, or a different industry that's creative, publishing, for example? How do you show future employers the impact you've had in that moment? To talk a little bit more about this, we have one more expert with us this morning. Ujjwala Sabharwal is with us. She's a senior director at Health Edge India, and she'll share a little bit more about what goes into an ideal resume. So Ujjwala, we actually, before the show, let me just tell our audiences, we sent you a resume, and this was a resume from the media industry, because we wanted to ask you your thoughts on a not so good maybe resume, but we did our best with it. So we put in the basics. Everyone says that you have to list your schooling, your education, then you want to go into your work and what you've achieved, then you want to list your skills, and then you want to list sometimes your passions and hobbies. We gave you a resume, we asked you to criticize it. Tell us more.
So Toya, based on my quick review of the resume, there are a lot of areas of improvement that can make it look more effective in capturing the attention of hiring managers and recruiters. A resume, first of all, should be very clear and it should be very focused. Okay. So too much of text or unnecessary information can overwhelm the recruiters and the hiring managers. If recruiters or hiring managers cannot quickly resonate or identify your strengths in your resume, they may just move on. So adding any relevant information that highlights your skills and your experience that directly is tied to the role that you are applying for. I feel focusing on those achievements, the key projects, and the results that show your impact is something which is very critical. And removing irrelevant or outdated roles and personal information that actually does not add a lot of value to the position which you're targeting to apply for. For example, your unrelated hobbies, your older experiences, which are not aligned with your career goals. The idea is basically to keep it very concise and impactful. First thing which caught my eye on this resume is that there is no professional summary or objective at the top of the resume, which is a missed opportunity to introduce yourself. It's always best to add a professional summary at the top of the resume, which highlights all your key skills and your years of experience, your area of expertise, and basically, what is it that you have done in order to make an impact for the organization. Because this is the first section which hiring managers and recruiters look
at.
The one most important thing to mention in a resume is to quantify your achievements. The work experience in this resume looks good, but it lacks measurable results.
Right.
So quantifying your impact wherever possible is very, very important.
So even in industries that aren't tech, try to quantify your impact. Okay, just tell us, Ujala, you've told us a little bit about how a resume can look better even when it is achieving all of the basics. But now tell us, if we see a job posting on LinkedIn, what should be the steps that follow after that, apart from sending in your resume? Obviously, you're going to do that, but are there other steps beyond that that you should also be doing? Maybe contacting other employees of the company on LinkedIn. Is that creepy? Just tell us a little bit more.
So Toya, what I feel is when you're applying to a job posting, especially on a platform like that of LinkedIn, sending just your resume, I believe, is not enough to stand out. Ensure your resume and your cover letter are pretty much customized to the specific job that you're applying for. Like I said, use the job posting to identify the skills and qualification and reflect those in your resume and cover letter, which I already spoke about. Now, how do we leverage our LinkedIn connections? Connect with people at the company in which you're applying for, even through your mutual connections.
Okay.
Reach out to the current employees, especially those who are in the similar roles or in the hiring team. Send a personalized connection request mentioning your interest in the position and briefly highlighting your qualifications. If possible, it is a great idea to engage with their content on LinkedIn by commenting very thoughtfully on the posts from the company or from the employees, because this will help you build visibility even before you have applied for that role with that organization. A lot of times we know that even the hiring managers repost the jobs. If they're hiring for their own department, they repost the jobs on LinkedIn. If you are able to identify the hiring manager or the recruiter, nothing like it. Send a LinkedIn message or an email to them and introduce yourself, expressing your interest in the role.
Touch on that for a second though. You brought up the importance of network, and I just want, because that in India sometimes is the all defining factor. They say jobs connections se hi milte hain, which is unfortunate. But tell us a little bit about how networking, referencing should feature into all of this, even on your resume.
So Toya, I would say that directly listing references on your resume is not necessary, but you can integrate your network very strategically in your resume.
What does that look like?
If you have strong recommendations on platforms like that of LinkedIn, you can mention them in a very subtle way in your resume. For example, you've been recognized by your leadership for some outstanding work that you have done, or you've been appreciated by your customers for delivering high quality projects under tight deadlines. You can mention all of that in your resume. It is always a good idea to include a link to your LinkedIn profile where these recommendations are pretty much visible, because that will be, it's like proof of pudding is in eating, right? So it's like a very clear testimony to what you have mentioned in your resume resonates with what people actually are speaking about you. You can also leverage referrals in your cover letter or introduction, because in any organization, referrals are always prioritized. So
Okay.
if someone in your network has, for example, referred you to the job in the company, it is always a great idea that when you're first connecting with the recruiter or with the hiring
Mention it.
manager, just make a mention of that,
Okay,
because
okay.
referrals are a great way to increase your chances of getting noticed. Another important thing is the strategic mention of notable collaborations that you may have with the industry leaders or an influential figure in the industry, and that can go in your summary section if you have done some sort of work with them. That can go as a part of your work section. This will help subtly highlight your network's influence without listing references in your resume.
Right, it's all about subtlety though, right? That's the tricky part when you're writing, I feel, resumes, being subtle, being humble, but also somehow encapsulating all of your achievements. Just, Ujala, if we could come to you quickly for a summary of everything you've just said, and we'll leave it at that, but just give us a quick summary of everything you've said.
Toya, I feel if you are an active job seeker, I would say do whatever you can and take a very proactive approach with your network and integrating references like we spoke about and your connections very strategically. This will help you significantly boost your chances of standing out. See, these days, all of us know that any AI platform can help you resume. Evolving a digital transformation era that we are all in, and we have been speaking about it every now and then, the skills that you're working on, for example, today, may not be relevant in the future. So it is very important for all of you all to know where the market is trending right now or in the near future, and make sure that you are upskilling yourself and filling those knowledge gaps to stay relevant in the market.
We've talked a lot about upskilling. Ujala, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Maya, earlier also for bringing us the advice you did. Upskilling is a word we've heard a number of times this week. We did a deep dive on it on Wednesday itself, what it takes to make a well-rounded employee. All right, we hope you found this guidance, this toolkit a little helpful. Let's take you now from this to something entirely different. Quick summaries of stories that are taking place right here in India and across the world. So first, we're going to take a look at Google's parents Alphabet and a expansion that they're making. So you might have heard a few months ago the AI generated summaries. So if you were typing something into Google, some users, especially users in the US, were finding answers to their questions, and those answers were generated by AI. Now Google is saying that it's going to be expanding that out from it's going to expand to new countries. After receiving all of that criticism, the search giant is saying though that it's going to make some changes, because you remember the criticism that the AI summaries were receiving were because a lot of the advice they were providing were not good. Now what we're learning is that Google is acknowledging the odd and erroneous overviews, they've called it. They've also announced updates to the product. So essentially what are they going to say? Now when you search something, there will be restrictions on what Google will actually throw up. So for example, it won't give all kinds of answers. Some answers, if you type in, Google will not actually give you a summary. The other thing it's going to stop doing is it's going to stop sourcing data from sites like Reddit, because you know on Reddit that people can themselves post answers. Google Alphabet will stop using Reddit as a source of those answers. And Apple is reportedly planning to expand its wearable devices lineup. It's working on an affordable version of Apple's Vision Pro headset, which is likely to be unveiled next year. As per a report by Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, the company is looking into smart glasses as a potential future product, with the aim of developing a more lightweight wearable AR experience compared to the previously launched Vision Pro. And some quick news reports from across the world. Firstly, 5 people have been charged in the drug-related death of the beloved star Matthew Perry last year. Police say this includes 2 doctors and the actor's personal assistant. Police said that their investigation, launched in May, uncovered a broad underground criminal network of drug suppliers who distributed large quantities of ketamine. Take a look.
5 people have been charged with causing Friends star Matthew Perry's overdose death, including 2 doctors.
These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves.
U.S. Attorney Martín Estrada detailed the indictment at a news conference.
Over 2 months, from September to October 2023, they distributed approximately 20 vials of ketamine to Mr. Perry in exchange for $55,000 in cash. Defendant Placentia saw this as an opportunity to profit off of Mr. Perry. He wrote in a text message in September 2023, quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay."
Authorities say the defendants were part of a criminal network that distributed ketamine to Perry and others. 2 have been arrested. Ketamine is a short-acting anesthetic with hallucinogenic properties, sometimes prescribed to treat depression. For months, Los Angeles homicide detectives and federal agents have been investigating how Perry obtained the prescription drug. Perry had publicly acknowledged decades of drug and alcohol abuse, including during the years he starred as Chandler Bing on the hit 1990s television sitcom Friends. He was found floating face down in his hot tub at his Los Angeles home last October. He died of the acute effects of ketamine, according to an autopsy report.
Okay, we'll move on from that heartbreaking story. You'll remember thousands, millions of fans of the show Friends were heartbroken when that news was announced. We'll take you from that now to something slightly different. Emily in Paris, the Netflix show, was the most streamed show when it came out, and then once again in 2022. Now, as its new season is around the corner, the star Lily Collins says fans of the series can expect more romance, bolder fashion in season 4, while actors Ashley Park and Lucia Visconti, there are some unexpected plot twists as well. Take a look.
There's, of course, more romance, bolder fashion, new characters, which makes it really fun.
Oh my God, Mindy, do you know what I saw on my run? Hot men everywhere. I guess I've just been so focused on Gabrielle and Alfie that I forgot what it feels like to be single.
We get a fall-winter season, so there's brand new wardrobe, new adventures, there's Christmas, there's mountains.
That breakup is all over the internet.
You broadcast your entire life for public consumption, and now it's affecting my business.
And this season starts and continues with like such chaos and messiness in the best way.
I'm the only one that knows about it? Well, no relationship is perfect. Seriously?
Every single situation goes in a way that you don't expect it to.
Left turn after left turn.
And I feel like you see a lot of deeper layers from all the characters you love, and then there's new interactions with characters that we're going to meet this season.
Promised myself I'd be open to any possibility. And this seems like it's the one.
Okay, we're going to be heading into a short break, and we want to tell you, so before this on the show, we've explored a bus, and that bus had a classroom inside it. It taught people how to get digitally savvy. We also explored a different bus that was an Uber initiative that actually had books that people could use. They could actually use it as a library. And now we're going to take you to another creative use of a bus. After the break, we're taking you to Mumbai's neighborhoods, where one bus is providing young kids with the space to creatively explore the world of music. It's quite literally music on wheels. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
पूरी प्रतिबद्धता के साथ देश की रक्षा भी कर रहे हैं, देश को नई ऊंचाई पर ले जाने का प्रयास भी कर रहे हैं। चाहे वो हमारा किसान हो, हमारा जवान हो, हमारे नौजवानों का माताओं का योगदान हो, दलित हो, पीड़ित हो, शोषित हो, वंचित हो, अभावों के बीच भी स्वतंत्रता के प्रति उसकी निष्ठा, लोकतंत्र के प्रति उसकी श्रद्धा, ये पूरे विश्व के लिए एक प्रेरक घटना है। मैं आज ऐसे सभी को आदरपूर्वक नमन करता हूं। प्यारे देशवासियों, इस वर्ष और पिछले कुछ वर्षों से प्राकृतिक आपदा के कारण हम सबकी चिंता बढ़ती चली जा रही है। प्राकृतिक आपदा में अनेक लोगों ने अपने परिवारजन खोए हैं, संपत्ति खोई है, राष्ट्र ने भी पारावार नुकसान भोगा है। मैं आज उन सब के प्रति अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं और मैं उन्हें विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि यह देश इस संकट की घड़ी में उन सब के साथ खड़ा है। मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, हम जरा आजादी के पहले के वो दिन याद करें। सैकड़ों साल की गुलामी, हर कालखंड संघर्ष का रहा। युवा हो, बुजुर्ग हो, किसान हो, महिला हो, आदिवासी हो, उन्होंने गुलामी के खिलाफ जंग लड़ते रहे, अविरत जंग लड़ते रहे। इतिहास गवाह है कि 1857 के स्वातंत्र संग्राम जिसको हम याद करते हैं, उसके पूर्व भी हमारे देश के कई आदिवासी क्षेत्र थे जहां आजादी का जंग लड़ा जाता था। साथियों, गुलामी का इतना लंबा कालखंड, जुल्मी शासक, अपरंपार यातनाएं, सामान्य से सामान्य मानवीयों का विश्वास तोड़ने की हर तरकीबें, उसके बावजूद भी उस समय की जनसंख्या के हिसाब से करीब 40 करोड़ देशवासी आजादी के पूर्व 40 करोड़ देशवासियों ने वो जज्बा दिखाया, वो सामर्थ्य दिखाया, वो एक सपना लेकर
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Let's take you now to a story about an initiative that we hope will lift your spirit and give you exactly the kind of positive start to the weekend that you need. We're taking you to a story taking place in Mumbai. For many in Mumbai, access to creative outlets like music, like art can be a very, very big luxury. Particularly because in Mumbai, the biggest question is always one of space and paisa. Everything is too expensive. But what if music, through a new initiative, came to people, came to young students? We're going to take you to this very, very unique initiative. It's ensuring that hundreds of young minds don't miss out on both the joy and the skills that are involved in composing and creating your own original piece. Here's a closer look at how this mobile classroom on wheels is making a difference. It can, of course, travel from neighborhood to bring this musical joy to young students. This is a story by Yasha Kotak joining us from Mumbai. Take a look.
For 500 students from Mumbai's bustling neighborhoods, those 40 minutes each week are a lifetime, a moment to breathe, to express, and to rediscover themselves through the power of song and dance.
Love you, Zindagi.
From the soulful, he's got the whole world in his hands, to the uplifting Love You Zindagi, these young voices find refuge and release, stepping into a world where music becomes their language of expression.
Thank you, Didis, for joining singing class, because my voice is so good. I will come here and my father will say, you good singing, keep that singing and go to bus.
दीदी हम लोग को बहुत सारे अच्छे अच्छे सॉन्ग सिखाते हैं और दीदी सब बहुत अच्छे से सिखाते हैं. अगर नहीं आता है तो दीदी बोलते कि आप एक बार और बताता हो और अच्छे से करो.
मेरी मम्मी पहले मुझे बोलती थी कि पहले तुझे इंग्लिश नहीं आता था, मतलब सॉन्ग्स गाने. तो जब से मैं यहाँ पर आई हूँ तब से मेरे को सॉन्ग्स सीखने आ गए.
The Sound Space Foundation, the brainchild of sisters Kamakshi and Vishala, began as simple music classes in Mumbai schools, but when the pandemic struck and in-person teaching became impossible, they innovated, bringing music directly to students' doorsteps. Thus, Sound Space on Wheels was born, a mobile musical classroom where learning comes to life on a bus.
So during COVID, we were seeing lots of students online, and we were realizing how much impact the music is having on them. And I think that's what kind of interested us in thinking, okay, but there are so many children out there that don't have this access or are not able to get this, because having music at that time for us was like having that best friend that you needed, you know, that therapy that you needed really. So I think that's where the idea started to come up, and we went through all the things that all the trouble that we were facing even pre-COVID with getting space, getting the children to come to the space, or even providing them classes where they would arrive. And we thought that a mobile classroom which will be right outside their basti is the one way to combat most of the limitations that we had.
To reach even more children, they transitioned from a for-profit venture to a non-profit foundation. With support from generous contributors, they transformed the bus into a moving haven of music, artfully designed to inspire and engage. Today, this bus travels to over 5 neighborhoods across Mumbai, offering 2 sessions each day, every week.
We grew up in a musical family. So we had music in our home all the time, and we saw the value in it because we always had something to go back to at the end of the day, you know. And that's where the idea began, that how can we make music more accessible to all. So of course we run multiple programs across the city in international schools, you know, with other children. We promote Indian classical music. There's lots that we do, but with the foundation, we work with different organizations and cater to their specific needs through music.
The dream is to extend this initiative, reaching countless more students, if only they can secure another bus. Beyond music, these sessions are a gateway to life skills, language, and the soft skills these children will carry into their futures. With video journalist Manadas, this is Yesha Kotak for CNN News 18 from Mumbai.
Okay, let's take you from that musical story now to something slightly different, slightly related. We're staying in that upbeat mood with our next presentation for you. We're telling you everything you can do this Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, because Monday is Rakhi. So especially if you're brother and sister, what you can do just to get a little time together. We've got a packed show for you today in terms of what you can do in the weekend. So right from what you can do staying at home on Netflix to everything you can go out and do. You have the much awaited sequel of Stree. It's a unique dad-daughter dance in Washington DC, and a thrilling detective drama series inspired by Sherlock Holmes. Plus a live tribute to Lord Krishna by Falguni Pathak. That will be taking place in Mumbai in particular. My colleague Sakshi Singh, who does this for us every week, brings us this breakdown. Take a look.
Hi everyone, it's going to be a bit heavy today on TGIF on the Breakfast Club. So lean back, relax, as we've got you covered with your planner for your long weekend. first up, here's the long list of the movie releases. Number 1 is Veda. Stars John Abraham, Sharvari Wagh, Abhishek Banerjee and others are here in this movie. The story in fact follows a young woman as she confronts and defies a repressive system while opposing an antagonist. Number 2 is Khel Khel Mein. With a long list of cast ensemble, the film story follows the revelation that friends and spouses are merely masked strangers, with one game exposing their hidden lives. Number 3 is Stree 2, the most awaited sequel of Stree. Stree 2 is here with Shraddha Kapoor, Rajkumar Rao, Pankaj Tripathi, Apar Shakti Khurrana, Abhishek Banerjee and others. The film's story in fact follows Chanderi being haunted anew by a chilling headless entity that abducts women this time around. Vicky and his friends must once again come to the rescue to save their town and their loved ones as well. Number 4 is Harold and the Purple Crayon. As a sequel to the original book, the story follows Harold, now grown with his magical purple crayon. When he draws himself out of the book and into the real world, Harold discovers he has much to learn about life outside the pages. Number 5 is Thangalan. The film is based on true events centered around the lives of mine workers in Karnataka's Kolar gold fields. Now, let's shift focus towards the big OTT releases. Number 1 is A Quiet Place. Day 1. Day 1 invites audiences to experience the harrowing first moments of the alien invasion that reshaped human existence within this world. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. Number 2 is Daughters. This film delves into the complex and deeply emotional lives of 4 young girls as they prepare for a unique daddy-daughter dance within the confines of a Washington DC jail. You can watch it on Netflix. Number 3 is Shekhar Home. A gripping detective drama series, Shekhar Home stars K.K. Menon as a brilliant sleuth inspired by the legendary Sherlock Holmes. Set in the early 1990s in the serene town of Lonpur, Bengal, the plot follows Shekhar as he delves into a web of unsolvable mysteries, each more perplexing than the last. Watch it on Jio Cinema. Number 4 is Emily in Paris, part 1 of season 4. The beloved Emily in Paris returns with the first 5 episodes of a new season as Emily Cooper finds herself in a whirlwind of emotional and professional turmoil following the explosive events of Camille and Gabrielle's wedding as well as Camille's pregnancy. Watch it all on Netflix. Number 5 is Jackpot. Jackpot plunges viewers into a near-future California where aspiring actor Katie Kim unwittingly becomes the latest winner of the state's infamous Grand Lottery. But what's the catch? Anyone holding a losing ticket has until sundown to kill her and legally claim her multi-billion-dollar prize. Watch this thrilling grip on Prime. Now, here are a couple of events that you can attend with your family. Number 1 is Uttarakhand's Electronic Music Festival. It's on 17th of August in Dehradun. Number 2 is catch comedian Ravi Gupta performing his set Kal Ki Chinta Nahi Karta in Pune on 17th of August. Number 3 is ace singer Falguni Pathak performing live in Mumbai, giving a tribute to Lord Krishna on 18th of August. Do catch a performance in Mumbai. That's all, everyone. It was a long list, wasn't it? Anyways, you've got a lot to choose from this time around. Stay safe, stay entertained. We'll see you next week with yet another planner here on TGIF on The Breakfast Club.
Okay, that was Sakshi providing us with everything you can do this weekend. Go out, do all of that. But before you do, we want to give you this small auto review. In the auto world, we're glossing over and we're bringing you today the 2024 Mercedes AMG GLC 43 Coupe. It now boasts an all-new design and a ridiculously powerful 4-cylinder engine. All about the exterior design, the interior features, the kind of performance it's bringing to the road, the tech, the safety, and whether it's worth the huge price tag that these cars often come with. Overdrive is going to bring you the verdict. Should you click go on the amount for this car? Go ahead, take a look.
Sedans are still big sellers in the luxury segment, but if you're eyeing a GLC over a C-Class, you're after more practicality. And if it's a GLC AMG on your radar, you're clearly chasing performance as well. And in case you're looking to schedule a test drive and you want to ferry your family, especially one with teenagers in it, then you would want to know what the boot space is like. The boot space is really good. As you can see, there's also a 40-20-40 split for the seats. That's good too. But you see, you'd also want to know what the headroom is like, because the GLC AMG sold in India is only available at the moment as a coupe.
The headroom? Pretty decent.
That's of course if your teenagers haven't grown unnaturally like the cryptocurrency you wish you had invested in. But if you are single, or if you have tiny kids, or if you've made a ton of money, in that case, you will be more interested in the performance of the GLC AMG. Like the C43 AMG, there is a 4-cylinder engine under the hood, and it has the same tricks too. F1 derived technology, electric exhaust gas turbo, belt-driven starter generator, et al. Yes, 4-cylinder, so unlike your friends who may have the GLC 43, the older one, you'll not be able to flex your arm on the steering wheel and say, I've got a V6 under the hood. But you can smirk and say, I've got over 420 horses. That's more power than the older GLC 43. That's a lot more power than even the BMW X4 M40i.
More than a C43 even.
Yeah, that even. But more importantly, unlike the older V6, this is a one-man, one-engine philosophy, which in simple terms means that there is the autograph of the AMG engineer who lovingly assembled this engine in a Falterbach. The GLC 43 Coupe looks like it has been hitting the gym and not skipping leg day, because the lower half of the car really looks so much better than the outgoing car. The bulbousness is all gone, it looks a lot sharper. Those 21-inch wheels, they look flashy. That grille looks so good, especially with that vertical slat AMG arrangement. And then at the rear, you have the quad exhaust pipes, which again sound and look great. There is a bit of that EQ inspiration with that black line connecting the tail lights. That could have been done differently, but overall, the silhouette of this car screams performance. It looks so much better than the outgoing car. Even that little spoiler on the tail looks amazing. All of it comes together and the new GLC screams move over without having to shout.
It's the automotive equivalent of wearing a sharp suit with a pair of sneakers. Classy, yet ready to run.
Funny, he's the one talking about sneakers. Anyway, I think enough of the design. Let's now talk about the way it drives. Let's get to the heart of the matter. Clearly, I'm wearing the wrong shoes too. Slip into the driver's seat and you're greeted by a cabin that's part spaceship, part luxury lounge. The 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster instantly sets this car apart from its predecessor. The MBUX infotainment system is as intuitive as your smartphone or tablet, assuming you don't still use a Nokia 3310, though I do like that phone. And the ambient lighting? It's like driving in a nightclub, minus the sticky floors and the dodgy bouncers. Oh, but this is one car that you want to flaunt at the nightclubs, especially in this matte black shade. Anyway, let's get down to driving it. Push the starter and this 4-cylinder engine comes to life with a roar. Okay, fine, not a roar, a growl, an angry growl.
Like a Rottweiler with a sore paw.
Yeah, that. But with over 420 PS, 500 Newton meters of torque, it can go from standstill to 100. In under 5 seconds. How quick can your dog run? When you hit the winding roads, you realize that this car is not only about straight line speed. With that AMG tuned suspension, it just hugs these curves, it just hugs the road. There's plenty of grip coming from it.
Like a gecko on a glass window.
But yeah, you get the drift. Especially with that 4MATIC all-wheel drive and over 2/3 of the power going to the rear wheels. It's basically running across corners, attacking corners like a wildcat on Red Bull. Well, I would have said Petronas, but that's not a drink. Formula One geeks, let this slide. Tech geeks, pay attention. This car is packed with gadgets. There's the adaptive cruise control that works smoothly even in our conditions. There's also the adaptive lighting that works really well and looks nice even to the oncoming traffic without dazzling them. There's also a lane keep assist and works quite well on B roads, highways, etc. More attentive than my mother-in-law. And then there is the full color heads-up display which makes you feel like a fighter jet pilot.
Like Maverick from Top Gun.
Nah, that's a bit much. The GLC 43 is also more practical than a typical low-slung sports car. Not too many butt-clenching moments in here. And those 21-inch wheels did take a fair bit of pothole beating during our drive, but you gotta be careful with those. These come with staggered tire sizes as well, 235 in the front and 295 at the rear. The 4MATIC we spoke of, that all-wheel drive system can do a little bit of off-roading too. In fact, there is also an off-road mode. So it will tackle a lot more than your potholes and speed humps outside your office.
Okay, with that, we're now going to round up. We're going to bring you a special segment on financial markets. It's powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing in business insights. Let's take a look first at the markets. GIFT Nifty trends are indicating a positive start for equity markets. US equities gained after retail sales data eased worries over a recession there. Asian equities rose, mirroring gains in the US markets amid positive US data. Now, crude oil prices edged down. This is amid continuing supply concerns. Let's take a look at a sector in particular, electric vehicles, where makers so far had a relatively smooth ride. This is thanks to subsidies. However, the absence of subsidy might result in a difficult ride. Competition is also on the rise, with most ICE players also eyeing this very same space. Now, you can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about electric vehicles as a sector entirely and various other actionable insights on markets. It is the premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights that you're ever going to need. It's brought to you by Money Control. Okay, with that, we are going to be drawing our show to a close. We hope that this entire week you enjoyed first the prepper we brought you on studying abroad and how to actually make it a reality, even if you don't have the funds, the kind of scholarships you can apply for, what loans will look like. Right after that, we took you to what it takes to have a 360-degree employee profile. In today's job market, the extra skills you need. What AI skills should you be training for, especially when everything gets outdated so quickly in today's job market. And today, as you remember from the start of your show, we brought you resumes. How important are they? How unimportant are they? And what other pieces do you need to have in your job profile when you're applying for your dream job? We hope you feel prepared now. And with that, we're going to head into the end of our show. Remember, Saturday, Sunday, Rakhi is also right around the corner on Monday. We'll see you Monday morning next with our show. Have a lovely weekend.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree. One tree for humanity. One tree for Mother Earth. One tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News18 network initiative.
Мама, привет.
Це українська територія. Їдемо на ньому додому. А де
What's up, mate?
Олександр Станіславович, добрий ранок. Як ваші справи?
Пане президент України, станом на 15 серпня обстановка на сході та півдні держави залишається складною, але контрольованою. Сили оборони продовжують ведення оборонної операції в східних та південних зонах на напрямку Торецька та Покровська, нанесення йому максимальних втрат, створення сприятливих умов для подальших дій. На території області населених пунктах для підтримання правопорядку, забезпечення першочергових потреб населення на підконтрольних територіях, створена військову комендатуру, призначена її керівника, призначений генерал-майор Москальов. З початку поточної доби наші війська на окремих напрямках просунулись від 500 метрів до 1,5 кілометрів. Відбили 3 контратаки противника, продовжують ведення наступальних дій. Всього з початку операції на території Курської області наші війська з боями просунулись в оборони противника.
Hello and welcome again. You're watching the morning news show on CNN News 18 and I'm Singh Litoria. Over the next 1 hour, we'll be bringing you all the details and headlines from the nation and across the globe. At the top of this segment, some breaking news now coming in with regards to the elections to be held in Jammu and Kashmir. Well, we are learning that Election Commission is going to announce dates for Jammu and Kashmir today at 3 p.m. The dates for Haryana polls are also likely to be announced today itself. We'll bring you more details with regards to the word that we have received straight from our sources from the big day top of the segment would be the announcement coming in from Election Commission to announce the dates for the Jammu and Kashmir elections at around 3 p.m. today in the same press conference. In fact, we are expecting the dates for Haryana polls also to be announced. We have our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh joining us live on the broadcast as well. Pallavi, a very good morning to you. Please walk us through all the big details with regards to the preparedness and the announcement that we are expecting from the Election Commission today.
So the Election Commission has officially made an announcement that at 3 p.m. today, there is going to be an announcement of the poll schedule for Legislative Assembly. As of now, no clarity has been given by them officially, Sakshi, on which are the states which are going to announce the poll schedule. Remember, the states which are coming up for grabs is Jharkhand, Haryana, Maharashtra and Jammu and Kashmir. In all likelihood, it is, of course, going to be Jammu and Kashmir. See, before the schedule is announced, the Election Commission team actually makes a recce of all the states where the elections are to be held. And to see about the poll arrangements, the security arrangements. Mind you, all the states which are going for elections are considered to be sensitive, particularly Jammu and Kashmir. It's going to be the first election there after abrogation of Article 370. 5th August was the day when yet another anniversary of that abrogation was announced. And this is an election which everyone is looking forward to. During the Lok Sabha elections, we saw a very impressive turnout despite the naysayers. So that has been a thumbs down to acts of terror. And therefore, the government certainly, and more than that, the Election Commission certainly wants to prove a point, Sakshi, by holding elections very much over there. There have been endless trips which have been done by the Election Commission to both Kashmir, that's the valley, as well as to Jammu. There are areas which are considered to be very sensitive and vulnerable to terror attacks. Toya, Pulwama, Anantnag, all of these areas in the valley particularly, of forces will be required. More than that, the challenge will be to that they ensure that the people come out and cast their vote. With this, of course, comes a huge question about restoration of statehood. So, multiple phase elections which we are expecting as far as the Valley plus Jammu is concerned. given the sensitivity and the vulnerability of the area. And as I just said, I mean, no clarity officially yet on whether Haryana will also be announced. Maharashtra, of course, has not seen an EC team visiting there.
Yeah.
So I would hold my horses over there as far as their full schedule is concerned.
Indeed, Pallavi, would request you to please stay on with us. We have our executive editor Raman Sharma also joining us on the broadcast. Raman, a very good morning to you. As Pallavi has correctly mentioned that, EC delegation went to Jammu and Kashmir. What were the glaring findings with regards to the phases of elections to be conducted in Jammu and Kashmir? And if you have picked up any information from your sources with regards to the poll announcement for Haryana, Maharashtra as well as Jharkhand?
See, Sakshi, what we are hearing from our sources is that the schedule of two states, in fact, one UT and one state, Jammu and Kashmir and Haryana, may be announced today because these are the two states where the Election Commission of India has already made a review visit. The Election Commission of India is still to go to Maharashtra and Jharkhand. So it is expected that only two states' elections could be announced today. The other reason for this announcement, if it happens the way we are reporting, is that Jammu and Kashmir would require a heavy deployment of forces. In fact, the Election Commission of India, the full team had a meeting with the Home Secretary just a few days ago. And in that meeting, it was discussed that maybe around 700 companies of forces could be required for the election in J&K. 635 companies could be required for deployment. Another 70 to 80 companies could be required for the security of candidates. So this huge deployment which is required would make it difficult for the Election Commission of India to also hold an election simultaneously in Maharashtra, which is also a big state, also Haryana and J&K, because they are geographically located nearby. So it will be easier for the Election Commission of India to hold an election simultaneously, because Haryana will be a single phase election most probably. So Haryana and J&K could go to polls together. This is a pivotal moment for J&K because elections for an assembly in J&K will be held after a decade. Since 2014, there have been no elections in J&K, so it is a big moment for J&K. In just the recent Lok Sabha elections, we saw a 58%